Whenever I'm ready.
Okay. Yep.
Good evening. My name is Jeff Benson, and I'm the current president of the Bedford Men's Club. I'd like to welcome you to the 2013 Candidates Forum for the School Board election. This marks the 10th year sponsoring this Candidates Forum for the Men's Club, and as an organization serving the residents of Bedford, the Men's Club found it important that the voters of Bedford get an opportunity to hear what the candidates have to say on issues that affect the way we live and work in town. The Candidates Forum provides an opportunity for voters to ask questions and have each candidate answer in a timely fashion. It allows candidates the opportunity to convince voters of Bedford to consider voting for them for school board. Our format begins with opening remarks from each candidate. I, as the moderator, will then ask questions, and the candidates will have an opportunity to answer them in a timed format. Each candidate will be allowed to answer each question, and the length of tonight's program will be approximately 1.5 hours, which allows for many questions to be asked and answered. This is a live event provided by BCTV and the Bedford Men's Club. The Men's Club is a civic organization in town that helps make Bedford a better place to live. Our members either live or work in Bedford and provide countless hours to bring programs such as this Candidates Forum to the residents of Bedford. The Men's Club supports such things as school programs, group educational programs, and many programs directed toward the youth of our community. Past and ongoing sponsorships include annual scholarships to graduating seniors from Bedford, the Stand By Me program, U.S. First Robotics, Special Olympics, and many of the town's sports leagues. The Men's Club also donates many hours out in the community at such events as this Candidates Forum, Old Town Days, Pre-Memorial Day Parade, and any other event that we're needed at. We meet on the second Monday of each month at the Weather Vane Restaurant here in town, and we create opportunities for our members to get together at events like the Manchester Monarchs, the New Hampshire Fisher Cats, as well as social events like wine tasting nights. We play golf, and we even have member-hosted poker nights. Whether just moving to town or a lifelong resident of Bedford, the Men's Club is a great way for men over the age of 21 to get to know new people and at the same time is giving back to our community. Our club participates in a number of fundraisers each year. We hold an annual Christmas tree sale located at the Bedford Village Shops on Route 101, and we're in the 7th year of hosting our Carbono Cup golf tournament. And this year's tournament will be on July 29th, so please mark your calendar. We really appreciate your support. And you can find more information and register right online at our website at bedfordmensclub.com. If you're interested in learning more about the club, check out our website, bedfordmensclub.com, or join us at any of our monthly meetings. Again, we meet on the second Monday of each month at the Weather Vane Restaurant at 7 o'clock p.m. And our next meeting is this Monday, February 11th at 7 o'clock. Now, I'll outline the program for tonight, and here are the rules. Each candidate will have 3 minutes for opening and closing remarks, and we have drawn numbers for the order, and I will be introducing you shortly. And questions will be from the moderator, and being that there are only two, we'll just alternate one and then the other. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to answer the question, and after each candidate has answered their question, there will be a 1-minute rebuttal for the other candidate. Okay? So at this point, let me introduce our candidates. To my right is Mike Kenny. And to my left is Scott Earnshaw. Welcome, boys.
Thank you, Jeff.
Opening remarks, and Scott, you are first.
Thank you very much, Jeff. So, first, thanks to you and to the Men's Club for hosting this event. Thanks to Mike Kenny, and I want to express that sincerely because I think it's great that you're taking the time to be engaged in the process. We talk a lot on the school board about how do we reach out and how do we get more community engagement, and I'm sure we'll be talking more about that tonight. But we certainly appreciate your willingness to be a part of this process. I'd like to take a few minutes as part of this opening, just introduce myself, tell you who I am and why I'm running. We moved to Bedford back in the early 70s. I went to graduate from West High. My parents are still here. And I brought my own family back about 12 years ago and raised our 4 children here in Bedford. All of them have been in the Bedford school system. They've all benefited from the educational quality that we have here. As a personal beneficiary and as a parent of those who have had that opportunity, I've wanted to have an opportunity to give back. And the school board is to me, is exactly that, a chance to give back for the things that I've been able to have through that system. These last 3 years on the school board, I've not only thoroughly enjoyed it, but I feel like I've made a difference in the quality of the education for our children. I think we'll have a chance to talk about that this evening, but there's unfinished business yet to do. There are still things in terms of technology, actions that we need to take in terms of the leverage of technology in our schools, as well as increasing the amount of feedback and community engagement that we have. And so with those sort of two focuses on technology and community communication with the community, I want to invite all of you as listeners here tonight not only to vote for the one of the two of us, obviously, to get out and participate and vote, but also to make it, figure out how you can be better involved in the school system and give us your feedback. And I look forward to the opportunity of serving you for 3 more years if I'm given that chance. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. And Mike?
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Scott. My name is Mike Kenny, and I'm an adjunct professor at NHTI in Concord. I'm running for the Bedford School Board because I think it's time that we have a seasoned educator on board that understands pedagogy. That's a funny, ugly-sounding term, but what it means simply is the art of teaching, the art of science, instructional methods, curriculum development and delivery. Teaching adults is called andragogy. As an adjunct, I primarily teach the course that puts fear and trepidation in the hearts of all incoming freshmen, English composition. My academic credentials include 2 undergrad degrees, including a bachelor's in management from Southern New Hampshire University, my alma mater, 3 master's degrees, both an MA in education and concentration in adult learning, and an MS in education with a concentration in instructional design. My Master's in Fine Arts and Creative Writing is a terminal degree, and it's my academic teaching credential. I'm also a doctoral learner. I'm in a Doctor of Education, Leadership, and Management program with a career category of local, state, and national education policy. I start my doctoral dissertation in October, the theme of which is functional illiteracy among college undergraduates. I'm in the pre-research phase right now. I have taught high school in the 4th grade as a substitute teacher. I've also published a children's book, grades 3 to 5, the middle readers group, ages 9 to 12, and it's dual designed as an adult child reader. It's available in English, Spanish, paperback, and Kindle. A few years ago, I came across a survey for CEOs and executives of Fortune 1000 companies. One simple question was asked: what 3 skills of potential employees do you consider the most critical in performing their job function in the 21st century? Now, 20, 30 years ago, if you had taken a look at a resume for a job seeker, you would have seen things like able to work independently, team player, and of course, the way overused phrase, ability to multitask. Now, these attributes are all considered to be part of one's competencies when applying for a job, but they were not what the business executives were looking for. They wanted employees who were highly proficient in reading, writing, and speaking standard American English. In short, they wanted communication skills in a communicative world where English is the #1 language in business and the 2nd most widely spoken language on the planet. With that in mind, I failed 25 to 35% of my students, mostly from GEDs in the public school system. I have problems with that. My vision is I don't want to fail anyone. I see a sincere need for English language arts in the public school system, and I graduated a public high school. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike. And actually, Mike, we're going to stay with you. So the first question, generically, is why should the voters vote for you?
Because I'm a seasoned educator. I've checked out the school board, and Scott, Earnshaw, and the rest of them are very competent people, to say the least. I don't see the background, the education background, to understand the pedagogy, especially when it concerns issues like the International Baccalaureate program. Okay, I hope we're going to talk about later on. And most of the school boards I've been acclimated with in the past, there was never a teacher on board. They were just drawn from the local community. So from my perspective, I want to see some educators on board, bottom line.
Thank you. Scott, same question?
Sure. The question is
I'm sorry, why should the voters vote for you?
sure. I think that I'm not a seasoned educator. I recognize that. We do have a former teacher on the school board, Cindy Shagnon, who provides not only significant longevity. She's been with us for a fair amount of time and understands a lot of the issues that we're confronting. But that's not the role that I play on the board. My focus has been over the last couple of years, as I talked about, just mentioned briefly in the introduction, that education is clearly changing, as Mike is well aware. And we talk about instructional design. The way content is going to be delivered is going to be increasingly online. And in that respect, actually having somebody from the community college system or anybody in higher education is going to have a fair amount more experience even than our own high schools are going to have, because they're further along on that track than we are. We spent over the last year or so, had an online study committee, spent a fair amount of time myself on that, because, and I was one of those who asked for this committee to be organized, because I felt that's where we needed to go. We needed to be prepared for that opportunity for leveraging the technology, whether we're talking about flipped classrooms or blended classrooms or online, or just straight online classes. That's certainly part of what we do. And then the school board's not going to replace the instructional expertise, the curricular expertise of somebody like Chip McGee that the district hires. But I think there's definite benefit. There's definite benefit to having somebody be able to ask serious questions. In addition to that, I've spent a fair amount of time on budget matters, on IB matters we've talked about, and looks like we'll get to some of the other communication issues later. Thank you.
Excellent. Mike, would you like another 1 minute rebuttal?
I would just add, not rebut, but add one thing. I think the idea of having a seasoned educator on the school board is a good idea for checks and balances.
Yep.
Within the community, especially somebody when they want to do a radical change in a curriculum design, or I have a master's in curriculum design and instructional design, and I can provide some input in that regard. Thank you.
Yeah, just to follow up with that conversation, I think that's, I think there's a real benefit to having people on the board with very different backgrounds. We had Thomas Collette on the board for a little while. I've already mentioned Cindy Shagnon, who has an educational background. Thomas Collette, who works a lot in online learning, who's no longer on the school board, but was able to provide some real meaningful feedback and back and forth with the school district. And I would say, however this election turns out, you should know that we're serious about our invitation to you to be a part of those kinds of long-term standing committees, because that kind of feedback is helpful to us, because there's and that's part of what we're looking for.
Thank you. All right, Scott. Next question is, do you support or oppose the IB program, and why?
Yeah, I do support the IB program, Jeff. It's I supported it before when I ran 3 years ago. I was outspoken in my support for it then. I recognize there are those who have some concerns about it. I think that the IB program provides a significant challenge for our kids, and it provides an external metric. There's like the AP program, the Advanced Placement Program. IB is graded outside of our school district, and so there's no way to game the system. And I think, and it's well recognized by colleges and universities, not only in this country but throughout the world. And I think it's served our children well. I'm very glad that we've kept it in place, and I think we've done a superb job in terms of the number of students we've had graduating from the program. I love listening to Peter Gagnon talk about the statistics, which have been very positive.
Thank you. Mike?
When I first heard the IB program about 6 months ago, being an educator, I kind of jumped in mentally with both feet. Then I started doing some research. Other than the IB being a misnomer, you don't get a bachelor's degree from the program. The maximum amount of credits you can ever hope to get is 24, and that depends on the receiving institution. There's only 2 colleges in New Hampshire that accept IB credits, that's St. Anselm's and UNH. And I've contacted both of them. And when I talked to the department heads, they said it was totally at their leisure whether they're going to accept the credits or not. Now, I look at the IB program as an honors program. I look at it as good college prep. I've checked out the curriculum. I have some issues with it being a European-based curriculum versus how we do in America with the 6 regional accrediting bodies and the accreditation standards, especially here in Bedford where we have NEAS just down the street from here. I've checked testimonials from students and teachers. There's even a website out there that really has some negatives about the IB program. One of the major factors is the cost. Anytime you're in an anemic economy like we are now, can we really afford the cost? What's the return on investment? How many students are going in that we're paying an exorbitant amount of money for to allow them to go to a college prep, knowing that they can only get a maximum of 24 credits? And again, that's probably assigned towards electives, nothing in a major curriculum. So yes, I have some misgivings to say the least, including the town of Bow dropping the program.
Okay. Scott, would you like another minute?
Sure. So I just like to, I understand you got some misgivings. Does that mean that you would be opposed to keeping the program? And maybe when we get your time back, maybe you can be, clear about where you stand on that. We have spent, obviously, they chose the program initially when they put the high school in place, but because of questions and concerns, just like the ones you've raised, we've gone back and looked at it to some extent every year. And we remain open to evaluating whether it's being effectively implemented or not every year. We're not trying to use the program as a way of getting college credit. That's not its purpose. I think you picked it up, Mike, in saying that it's a college prep. They may also get the benefit of having credits. And there are certainly schools in Boston like BU who also give them credits for it. But the key is challenging them while they're in school, not just the breadth of the challenge that they get with AP, but the depth of the challenge, which I think IB has demonstrated that they provide.
I've checked out the curriculum, and in the 6 phases, I appreciate what they're doing. For the higher end, the 5, 6, 7s, but below that, okay, where do they go from there? And that's my main concern. It's almost like a waste of money where students are coming in and they're not getting on the higher end of the 5, 6, 7 scores. Okay, so what really are they getting out of it? From honest classes, like in community college, I teach English comp, and I have a requirement that I can recommend students with a B+ average or above for an honest style English class, more of a literature-based class. And I do that on a regular basis, okay? But they better be the top of my class. That's the only way I can get them through the system, to be honest, okay? I'm not against the curriculum. I just have some misgivings on how it works. And one of the issues I have in looking at how Bedford coordinates the IB program, there seems to be some inconsistencies in there, where Calculus 1 and 2 is on the IB Bedford curriculum, but it's not part of the IB core curriculum. So I think Bedford High School just did a little magic manipulation there that I want to check into a little bit more.
Thank you, Mike. And Mike, we'll come back to you for question 3. Do you support or oppose Article 2 to raise $729,000 for raises for teachers, and why or why not?
Oh, boy. This is where I'm going to shoot myself in the foot, Jeff. I belong to a teachers union, SEA, SEIU, Local 1984 Adjunct Faculty Union. However, that does not mean I always agree with teachers unions in general, AFT, NEA, BEA, etc. I would have to take a real hard look at where this money's going. I have a look at the teacher salaries, and I'll be very frank, gentlemen, I need to teach high school. Stop teaching at college level, because I can make $20,000 a year more teaching high school. I can see where the money's going. For example, when I look at the ratio between high school teachers at Bedford High that have master's degrees, graduate degrees versus bachelor's, it's 2 to 1. And I know the pay scale is MA plus 30 hours, you're gonna make good money. Well, who's paying for that money? We are. I'm not saying they shouldn't continue on their educational career and get advanced degrees. All I'm saying is somebody's gonna be paying for it. That's the bottom line. So am I in favor of the article? I need to do some more research, to be honest.
Okay. And Scott, same question?
Jeff, thank you. Yeah, I fully support the article as it's written. As you may know, Jeff, I was part of the negotiating team, as I have been for the last 3 years, with the teachers, the professional association with the teachers. We haven't always agreed, the teachers and the school board. There's a fair amount of give and take. There's a fair amount of pushback. We did not reach agreement the first year as a part of those negotiations. But that's important to define your goals and define your positions so that all sides know what they're dealing with. And I think that what we've tried to accomplish from the board's perspective, and I think that the professional association is on board with us in this regard, is to create a culture of excellence here in Bedford. And we want to do that not by being salary or leaders. There's no reason for us to try to go out there and compete with the Amhersts of the world or pick another community that's well ahead of us. We don't need to pay that much more to get the best teachers to come here. Why? Because in part we have a great community to be a part of to begin with. And but we do want to be sufficiently competitive that those teachers have reasons to stay here. And so we've gone very carefully and looked at every level and every education and experience, and compared how those same teachers would fare at the other 20 or 30 districts here and competitors here in New Hampshire, and just mapped it. And we've seen where we're behind, and we've seen why our teachers so frequently, when they've been here for 5 or 10 years, go off someplace else. And so we've tried to make sure that we're reasonable in light of the economy, reasonable about what additional money we're willing to put into the system, and at the same time make sure we target it toward those who are most behind.
Thank you, Scott. Mike, would you like another minute?
I appreciate what you said, Scott, because my statistics saying that Bedford High School or the school district at large is 76 out of all the SAUs as far as salary requirements are. So it's not like Bedford's getting Cadillac plans out of their teaching cadre. That's not the point. I kind of wish I had your union negotiating committee on my union negotiating committee, because we're going for the first contract now. We hit impasse in December. So now we're in mediation, so I know exactly where you guys were. My question to you, Scott, would be, what position does the school board take? Are you on the administration side, the union side, or are you the mediation?
He'll get a time, he'll respond to you
I'm sorry, okay.
after your minute. Are you done with your minute?
I'm done.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'm happy to respond to that. We see ourselves as, with the administration and with the Teachers Association all in the same room, trying to work out the best deal for our students.